Fall Guy is a movie based on a popular TV show from the 80s that delivered as promised but ultimately under-delivered. From the thumbnail, you might be inclined to believe that I did not like the movie at all, which isn't true. I enjoyed it for the most part. However, the movie suffered from one major issue that inadvertently created two minor issues, which led to the movie being a somewhat disappointing experience. Hey everyone, my name is Pat, and today I'm gonna take a look at The Fall Guy. Ryan Gosling as Colt Seavers and Emily Blunt as Jodie Moreno deliver okay performances. Gosling's charismatic portrayal of the stuntman adds a little depth to an otherwise one-dimensional character. Emily Blunt is naturally likable, and given how little she had to work with, basically just being disgruntled all the time and occasionally disappointed, she makes the best out of it. While I didn't outright dislike her performance, there wasn't much to like about it either. The two of them had decent enough screen chemistry, but the sometimes lengthy dialogue performed in static environments wasn't playing to their strengths either. The film's most commendable aspect is how it shines a light on the often underappreciated and hardworking stunt crews that make these movies possible. The industry relies heavily upon these unsung heroes, and The Fall Guy does a great job of showcasing their importance, efforts and contributions to movie productions. To me, the behind-the-scenes view gives the movie more authenticity than other similar movies have. I thoroughly appreciate how they highlighted a facet that most people are fully aware of but never get to see because if it's done well, it goes unnoticed. I think this is why Jackie Chan movies have a special place in my heart, because they always showed outtakes during the end credits, giving a brief glimpse into the dangers and the hard work that goes into producing these movies. Inserting the outtakes in Jackie Chan's movies made me appreciate the movies a lot more. There is so much work that goes into producing movies, and I think actually showcasing that and documenting that doesn't just give people a better understanding, they also might get interested in behind the scenes jobs, rather than only be an actor, if they just knew how many and how people worked on these movies. In recent years, VFX and CG have become much more prominent. Showing artists at work might inspire children and teenagers to pick a career in those fields. Granted, sometimes they release BTS footage alongside DVDs, but realistically, only the ones who are already interested in potentially working in that field will watch them. The action sequences and stunts are indubitably well executed, living up to the high standards expected from a film about a stuntman. The visual effects complement these stunts, creating thrilling and visually impressive scenes. The movie features a variety of stunts from high-speed chases to explosive set pieces, and they're always executed with precision and a distinct flair. These elements make the film a visual treat, particularly for action enthusiasts. That's not all. The movie set the record as well for performing the most canon roles. Universal Pictures posted a short video about it, link in the video description below. But that's still not all. The movie also sparked a discussion if stunts should be honored at the Oscars as well.
They give Oscars for that?
For stunts? No.
Which, as of now, they are not. And that's the most impressive feat the movie has accomplished. Despite the many positives, the movie has one major flaw that trickled down into a few minor issues. Let's dive into the negatives. Despite the action-packed premise, the film suffers from pacing issues. There's a lot of dialogue and exposition in the beginning that slows down the story, making the movie feel more like The Talk Guy at times. Long stretches of bickering while not adding anything worthwhile to the plot detract from its momentum and lead to a disjointed viewing experience. The attempt to counter the slow pace and stop it from dragging on resulted in awkwardly implemented action scenes. And while they do create the change of pace they aimed for, it does so at the expense of creating unrealistic scenarios and odd behavior of the characters. For example, when Colt trespassed in Tom's house, his girlfriend started a choreographed attack on Colt rather than hide and call the cops. Additionally, her attack makes no sense because her part in the scheme was to direct Colt to the club. Therefore, why fight him? During the fight scene in the club, it looked cool but was weird because no bouncer stepped in to cut the action short. Additionally, after the fight, why run away from Colt if their goal was to lure him to the hotel? Good writing takes changes of pace into account beforehand. In hindsight, these scenes felt like they needed to spruce the story up, so they made up a few fight scenes on the spot. Another attempt to fix the slow pacing was to focus on the romantic subplot between Colt and Jodie. The subplot ends up taking a significant portion of the film, but fails to engage the audience because the relationship is so superficial. It's a poor substitute for the main narrative and ends up pushing the action and most importantly, the mystery elements into the background. This imbalance makes the romantic storyline feel rather intrusive than integral to the plot. The best example of that was during the truck fight chase scene where it kept switching back and forth between Jodie and Colt. The major issue that causes the aforementioned issues is the film's important reveals are all clustered together. The key information is dumped on the viewer all at once, back to back, and not even in the right order. Instead, it should have been spread out throughout the movie. In essence, the movie fails to gradually increase the suspense by revealing the puzzle pieces one by one. The issue that bothers me is that the pieces are there, but the movie has zero faith in the audience's intelligence to puzzle it together. In my opinion, the neglected mystery led to the movie's suboptimal earnings at the box office. If you've been enjoying this video so far, remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you like this type of content, consider subscribing to the channel. I'd appreciate it. The Fall Guy plays it too safe and doesn't take any risks with its storyline. Once the plot is revealed, it follows a predictable path and there are no surprising twists or turns to keep the audience engaged. It even had the potential for a twist, but it was destroyed right away. This lack of originality makes the film feel even less than formulaic. A personal gripe of mine with this movie was when it kept cutting away from a major action scene. The constant shift in tone was jarring and ruined the flow of the scene. It's a stylistic choice of the director, but in my eyes, it simply disrupts the immersion and all it does is make it difficult for the audience to stay engaged, creating a disjointed experience. I had a similarly disengaging experience when watching Argyle, where the protagonist's constant shift from reality to imagination during an action scene disrupted the flow, breaking the immersion. I really hope this doesn't catch on like the shaky cam fights did a few years back. Another good example of how to pace mystery and betrayal you can find in the first Mission Impossible. MI blends action and suspense while keeping the audience on the edge of their seats with well-paced reveals that create a constant sense of tension. There is one major reveal toward the second act of the movie and the second reveal catching everyone off guard, while adding a twist to the story. Because it was done so well, it isn't just memorable, it launched an entire movie franchise. Baby Driver is another movie I'd like to highlight. It's a somewhat underrated movie that successfully weaves good stunts, an intriguing plot and interesting characters together, while gradually revealing their backstories and circumstances. It successfully manages to get the audience invested in the fate of these characters. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you give it a try. Fast and the Furious. On the complete other end of the spectrum, there are movies like the FF franchise. These are the types of movies where you switch your brain off and watch a bunch of American fugitives murder Brazilian policemen in broad daylight and nobody bats an eye. Because you know full well, you're not there to watch a good story. Period. When it comes to a rewrite, many parts are already there and with a few adjustments and slight changes can be rearranged to solve the pacing issue. One thing that threw me off was the opening scene, Colt's fall. At first it gave me the impression that the movie had to do with PTSD and that Colt had to overcome it for the grand finale or something, but the fall had little to no bearing on the overall plot. It looked cool and that was it. The fall accomplished three things: ruin Colt and Jodie's relationship, temporarily remove him from the production, and give him an additional reason to hate Tom Rider. All of that could have been accomplished by having Colt be a little too flirtatious and his rising popularity going to his head. This draws the ire of Jodie and Tom and he ends up not being hired for the next production. The outcome would have been largely the same, with the added benefit of Colt having ruined his relationship through his own actions, not external circumstances. This would have been a better way to implement the romance subplot, as Colt now had to vie for Jodie's affections anew while navigating through the chaos of finding Tom. After getting fired, instead of being a valet, he should have been a bounty hunter. This change doesn't just keep better in line with the original series, it also creates a believable basis, mostly providing Colt with their experience of bounty hunting for the subsequent plot. The opening scene would have been one thing I've changed. The other thing would have been to change the character of Gail Meyer. In particular, change her to be less of an annoying agent and be more of a personal friend of Colt's, who happens to be the manager of Tom Rider, to make the betrayal more of a surprise. With that said, let's get to Act 1. As I said, let him lose his job and let him bounty hunt until Gail calls him asking him to help Jodie with her movie. He agrees and heads to Australia. After the first day on set, Gail reveals the truth to him that Tom has been running with a bad crowd and has gone missing. She lured him to Australia not just to be his stunt double, but for his bounty hunter skills as well. Colt reluctantly agrees. Act 2A. Here's where the Fall Guy plan needs to change. He goes to Tom's house, where he dresses up and is directed to the hotel. You can easily skip the club scene and have a fight in the hotel room, where he discovers the body on ice and then is attacked. Against all odds, Colt wins the fight and flees the scene. At the hotel during the fight, he picks up a business card from a nightclub, giving him a lead as to where Tom might be held. Act 2B. After a day on the set, trying to smooth things over with Jodie, Colt pursues yesterday's lead and infiltrates the nightclub. He takes down all the guards and eventually makes it to the basement, where he finds Tom in a room. He frees Tom and they make their escape, but inevitably, Tom betrays him and Colt is captured instead. Tom reveals the plan of getting Colt framed for the murder, the doctor murder scene. They drive into Tom's house to dress him up in the clothes Tom wore on the day of the murder. Trying to kill Colt at the house, it goes awry, and Colt's left for dead in the sea. Act 3. The third act can largely remain the same, but add a twist of how Gale was the mastermind behind all of it instead of letting Tom blurt everything out at once. I left out the phone car chase scene because of 3 reasons. Reason 1. I hated how random incriminating evidence just existed and how they just found the password for it as well. 2. I hated how it kept switching between the action and the karaoke bar, ruining the immersion. And 3. It was too reminiscent of Deadpool 2's car chase scene. It felt to me as if they had run out of ideas and just redid the same thing. I don't think it was bad or badly executed at all, I just thought it was underwhelming and did not feel like it fit well into the overall movie. And also a bit too unrealistic maybe. Keep in mind that's just my opinion, and let me know what you think of the chase scene in the comments down below. The Fall Guy had a lot of potential with its interesting premise and talented cast, but it falls short in execution. Although widely positively received, the subpar writing and forgettable plots are holding it back. The mystery component just wasn't handled well enough. The writing does its job, and while the movie is visually entertaining enough, it had its moments. Properly tapping into its mystery potential could have made it a standout action comedy of 2024. The film's inability to fully capitalize on its premise resulted in a final product that feels like a missed opportunity rather than a triumph. It's great to see that Fall Guy has started a discussion on if the Academy Awards should honor stunt work as well, which they absolutely should. Stunt work is a huge part of movies and is just as important, if not more important, than music for example. And while a stunt award show exists, the Taurus World Stunt Awards, if you didn't know, they're nowhere near as famous as the Oscars are or any other movie award show across the globe. Anyway, that's it for me for this time around. Let me know in the comments down below if the Oscars should include the best stunts as a category, and if not, why not? If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, make sure to subscribe to the channel and check out some of my other stuff. And as always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.